Assassin's Creed games are filled with massive moments, huge set pieces, breathtaking vistas, and some weird stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Gameranx, the 10 most awkward moments in Assassin's Creed games. Starting off with number 10, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the one really bad day. It's a series of quests, it's about as awkward as it gets. Like, it's genuinely just one long stream of really awkward moments. For a bunch of free missions they added to the game post-release, it's also some of the funniest and darkest little quests in the entire series. The whole thing starts when you arrive in some town that's been messed up by somebody pretending to be you, but instead of helping everybody there, you just make things actually worse. The person you help get a horse runs it off a cliff, the town blacksmith gets crushed by his own stuff, and a guy who's here to inspire the town wants you to set him on fire to prove that he's the reincarnation of a famous hero. You don't have to do it, but if you do, you can probably guess what happened. He ends up a smoldering corpse, if you didn't guess. I'm actually pretty sure he dies no matter what, so it's not like, I guess it matters. But yeah, I mean, after all these mishaps, you're free to deal with the faker however you want, but it's so awkward and strange, and you really don't help people. You don't set things straight for the town, really. Moving on to number 9, it's stuffing the Obsidian Eye into a goat from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Done by the player with the Cyclops Obsidian Eye to an unfortunate goat in order to spite Cyclops. Like, after slaying him, you can seek out the same goat and retrieve the eye for an achievement. The first major bad guy you have to deal with in Odyssey is a thug calling himself the Cyclops. Through the opening missions of the game, you end up disrupting his operations and even steal his Obsidian Eye. When your character gets the opportunity to leave the island of Megaris, they take it, but the only boat off the island is being held by the Cyclops. So, you confront him and reveal that you stole his precious eye, which he demands back. That's where this one goes down. Instead of giving the eye back, you shove it up a goat's butt. Yes. That's what you do. It does a lot to establish your character in terms of temperament, let's say. But in-game, it doesn't come off as super awkward. It's just what happens when you think about it for like a second or so. It's a really weird thing to do. It's not what I would do to spite somebody, because you have to come back and tell them that you did it. Like, oh yeah, I put it in a goat's butt. Yeah, just shoved it up there myself. And number 8 is that time your sister takes over the brothel in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Now, this is the direct sequel to Assassin's Creed 2, where Ezio and his family are forced to flee their estate. Your mother and sister end up hiding out in a brothel, which is already pretty awkward. I mean, do you really want to see your mom hanging around in a cat house? I mean, imagine the disapproving looks. But, oh boy, that awkwardness gets turned up to 11 when the proprietor of the brothel is killed as part of a mission, and your sister, Claudia, steps up and says she'll run the place now. Oh boy. Now at this point in the story, Ezio isn't as much of a skirt chaser as he was at the start of the game, but still, the whole situation's pretty awkward, and you can tell from the dialogue that he's not comfortable with his sister running the place. Of course, he relents to her wishes, but it remains a pretty awkward situation for most of the game. And I mean, who can blame him? It's a lot to take in. Your sister running a brothel? Yeah. At number 7, when Connor meets his dad in Assassin's Creed 3. Basically, the ultimate awkward family reunion. Connor, an assassin, comes face to face with his father, Hytham, the leader of the Templars and his sworn enemy. Like, of course things are going to be strained, especially when the meeting starts off with Hytham tackling Connor from the rafters of this abandoned church. Now they go from dangerous, though, to just plain awkward once they actually start talking. Hytham justifies all the stuff his Templars have been doing, and Connor is, I guess, mostly confused. Making things more complicated is the fact that Hytham is a relatively likable guy. You spend a good chunk at the start of the game playing as him, and he's pretty entertaining, so seeing him again is fun, even if he's technically the bad guy. They decided to team up to take on the next target, and some proper father-son bonding goes on, but it doesn't last. No alliance where the father threatens to kill his son is gonna last forever, As far as the hero and villain team-ups go, it's probably one of the most awkward. It's like a father and son camping trip where your deadbeat dad is actually your arch nemesis, but also you're still just doing the camp out. It's weird. At number 6, it's Valhalla Old Wounds. It's the one where you rescue a guy from a brothel. Well, rescue's kind of an exaggeration, but you basically go in there to collect him. He's in the middle of some game-friendly BDSM, and when you find him, he's tied up and blindfolded. Most of the conversation with him is in that blindfold, and yeah, it's pretty awkward. The fact he's only got a pair of the old tighty-whities on, it makes things more awkward, and you have to escape the place with him when some guards roll in. Standing around in a brothel with people getting up to stuff all over the place, it's gonna be awkward no matter what, but having a chat with like a medieval gimp only makes it worse. It's a pretty short scene, but if there's anyone else around watching you play it, it's gonna be particularly awkward. And number 5 is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that time when Basim wears a wolf t-shirt and then has a heart-to-heart with the team. The ending of Valhalla is just weird. It's a big criticism that a lot of fans for the series is like how little the modern-day plotline matters and how slowly it's progressing. I think it's a fair complaint, and the developers must have listened because they pushed things forward in a big way with the ending of this game. I don't want to get into explaining it too much because it is a lot to take in, but basically the climax of the past section of the game has you fight Basim, the hidden one, what assassins used to be called, who is actually a sage, which is a whole other thing. Long story short, he's an assassin who's actually a bad guy. Ivor fights him, and he inadvertently gets connected to this matrix machine and these old precursor ruins that end up keeping him alive until the present day. Then the present day protagonist, Layla, finds him and frees him, thinking that he's a good guy, but no, he is definitely up to no good, and that's where the awkwardness sets in. Basim, now decked out in a Wolf Moon t-shirt and cargo pants, talks to Rebecca and Sean, and this whole scene it's strange. Like, it's already weird enough that they're basically talking to a time traveler, but the fact that he's also pretty unsubtle about his evilness while at the same time acting like an ally makes it more uncomfortable. Like, there's a lot of awkward glances between Sean and Rebecca and weird smirking pauses from Basim in this scene. The whole situation is weird as hell. But during this conversation, things just get straight up awkward. And number 4 is Assassin's Creed Black Flag's first day of work. Going to work for the first time is always a somewhat awkward experience, but the developers of Assassin's Creed Black Flag found a way to make it even worse. In one of the strangest turns in the series, the modern day plotline in this game seems you as a nameless employee of Abstergo Entertainment. You get this awkward introduction, a little meet and greet, where an over-enthusiastic voice extols the virtues of being what is essentially a beta tester. The whole thing's surreal, but it's even stranger when you realize this fictional development studio is in Montreal, like Ubisoft Montreal, the makers of the game. And remember, Abstergo are the bad guys of the series. Like, they're the modern day front for the Templars, and the work that their entertainment branch does is basically designed to brainwash people into accepting the Templar message from playing their games. It's all really weird, but this whole awkward first meeting and introduction, that's something most people, I think, probably can relate to and probably wince at a bit, but then it gets more awkward as it moves on. At number 3 in Assassin's Creed Origins, the Towel Assassin. It's a mission where you have to assassinate the guy in the public baths. To do that, you have to get inside, which means that you'll be playing most of this mission in a towel. Any game where you have to complete your mission in the buff is going to be at least a little awkward, but things do get worse. That's because when you actually assassinate the target, the hidden blade you use cuts off Bayek's ring finger. So you're not just nude, you're also bleeding like crazy. As far as first-time assassinations go, it's not quite as fun or glamorous as others in the series. Like, you barely manage to escape with your life and your dignity. The whole encounter with your target's pretty awkward too. It's hard to take a guy seriously who's hanging around in a bath towel. But you do kill the target, so maybe that is a miscalculation on all of our part. At number 2 in Assassin's Creed, when Altair gets bitch slapped, you don't usually see Assassin's Creed protagonists get totally disrespected, but in the original game it happens pretty early on. After botching the opening mission of the game, Altair gets called out by the leader of the assassins, who gives him a proper talking down that goes on for, let's just say, a while. Like, it keeps going. I forgot how long this scene is until we watched it. Yeah, it's basically there to explain what the deal is with the assassins, but having a guy angrily shout at you for a long time is pretty uncomfortable. And like, obviously we spoiled the point at the top of it. It gets super awful and awkward when he straight up backhand slaps you for backsassing him. Like, it's a good thing Al Mulim turns out to be the bad guy. Otherwise, Altair would really look like a chump for this. It's awkward enough to get yelled at, but to get slapped and then just sit there and take it, it really takes it to another level. And at number 1, not giving Leonardo a hug in Assassin's Creed 2. You want to talk about awkward moments in the Assassin's Creed games? Here is one that everyone remembers. You arrive in Venice, Ezio and Leonardo take a little tour of the city, and then at the end, you arrive at Leonardo's new workshop. The whole mission's been pretty chill. It's all just walking and talking, so for most people, they're not exactly ready for what's about to happen. Leonardo, who's basically your Q in this game, and a guy who's proven to be a good friend at this point, leans in for a hug. But look out, it's a QTE with a surprisingly short timer on it. Like, you take your hands off the controller at any point, you're gonna miss it. So, you see what most people probably saw here, where Leonardo awkwardly puts his hands back down. Everybody, including us, feel like real assholes for not giving this man a hug. But that QTE, it's vicious. You really have to be on the ball if you want to get it. And it's such a small thing, like, it's just not giving a guy a hug. It doesn't actually affect anything. Like, Leonardo doesn't suddenly hate you or anything, but it feels wrong. When it comes to awkward moments in Assassin's Creed games, or hell, video games at all, this one is one of the most notable, actually. Quick bonus point for you too. In Assassin's Creed 3, when Benjamin Franklin makes stuff weird, we've mentioned it before, but we have to mention it here. If you talk to Benjamin Franklin in Boston, he'll go on this rambling speech about why older women make better lovers. Kindly old grandpa Benjamin Franklin is going off about sex, and it is incredibly awkward. And to make things even more uncomfortable, like, this rant is not like something that the developers came up with for a perverted joke or something. It's based off of a real thing that Benjamin Franklin actually wrote. That's all for today, though. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on Gameranx.